New York Times Bestseller. That must feel nice.
Yeah, my parole officer calls it a good start.
Is that good? Yes. You're going to get back into the swing of things before you know it.
I know. Yeah, tell me about it. It's recidivism, but I'm thrilled about it. This book took about 12 years to sell. I had people telling me it's third rail, Christianity and politics, and using Jesus against the right wing. No. And it's really gratifying to see people actually respond.
Yeah.
Because people are tired of, I think, what I think the Bible calls revoltingly fake Christianity.
Yes.
I think so many of us.
I mean, you dive right into that, right? You say you wrote this book because your parents broke a promise with God.
They did.
That's a hell of a way to write a book.
Yeah, I'm technically not supposed to be here. My mother was a nun from the segregated South. She went into the convent right out of high school. They put her through nursing school, sent her off to work with lepers in Malawi, Africa. But before they sent her to Africa, they put her in Brooklyn. My father was a Franciscan brother who taught history to Catholic boys in Brooklyn. He wore the brown robes and the rope belt and walked amongst the people like the lost Jedi of Flatbush. And my father, the brother, met my mother, the sister.
I was going to say, your upbringing is a premise.
I know, right?
At least a Shaggy Dog story.
Well, he fell madly in love. He eventually got her to leave after 10 years of platonic friendship, and they tried to raise us to be progressive, free-thinking Catholics, and I do comedy because I can't afford the therapy I so deeply require.
So why write this book?
I wrote this book because I got tired of seeing my parents' faith used as a cloaking device for meanness and bigotry and superiority. Jesus' movement was about humility. It was about service to others. It was about uplifting the marginalized, not about total right-wing domination of the school board. And I wrote this book for believers and atheists, anyone who's going to have to deal with a far right-wing, mean Christian nationalist or fundamentalist in their job, in their home, in their government, in their social media feeds. I think they say the largest growing religious group are Mormons or none of the aboves. I think it's people who were raised religious and now consider themselves spiritual because they're sick of the hypocrisy of men in dresses and funny hats.
You see a breaking point? Like, where do you see these the teachings of Jesus, the biblical teachings, shifting over to just being a political ploy?
I mean, when Rome took over, really. I mean, that's when
we're going back that far.
Well, if you want to go back to when it stopped being an oppressed movement of the brown-skinned Jewish carpenter about love and empathy, and it became an imperial religion that got to beat up on smaller minorities and pagans and go invade and kill Jews and kill Muslims in the Crusades, all of which was a total violation of Jesus. And the whole history of Christianity is this authoritarian power, right? But it's always the Jesus followers who resist. So you got the Crusades, St. Francis quits and preaches nonviolence. You got Columbus and the doctrine of discovery, and they're raping the Taino people, and it's the Catholic priest, Bartolomeo de las Casas. First act of protest by a white person in this hemisphere, and it was against what Columbus was doing. Slavery was propped up by Christianity, but it was Christ followers like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman and the Quakers who pushed back. Segregation, propped up by Christianity. Dr. King fights back. And how many people have taught their parents and grandparents out of so much homophobia in the past 30 years? There's an amazing history of Christian activism, but it always manifests itself in resistance to Christian authoritarianism. And I'm sick of it, and I think people are too. And if the Democratic Party is not going to use the Bible and the media is afraid to touch it, then it's going to be up to all of us asking our right-wing loved ones, what Jesus teaching does Donald Trump and MAGA fight for? Because I haven't actually found it yet.
Yeah. Well, why do you think that is? You articulate the teachings of Jesus as inherently progressive teachings.
Sort of got him killed, yeah.
Yeah. Now, why do you think the left isn't able to utilize that?
I wish I knew, because there's so many progressive Christians who pay attention to what the guy actually says. You look at Matthew 25, right? That's Jesus giving his marching orders. The night he's arrested, it's the judgment of nations. He says, I will gather individuals and nations. This is the whole, I was a stranger and you took me in, I was hungry and you fed me. He gives 4 criteria for what Christians or a Christian society will have to do. And it's to individuals and nations. And it's take care of the poor, take care of the sick, welcome the stranger, and be kind to those in prison. Nothing about screaming at women outside clinics, nothing about being mean to trans kids, nothing about believing in a talking snake. Jesus gives his marching orders right there.
Where is that stuff? That's in Genesis,
That's
right?
in Genesis.
Yeah.
But it's why you'll never see the right wing fight to put a Jesus quote on a building, on a courthouse, or on a classroom wall.
Yeah.
They don't do it. They don't follow the guy. They worship him, because that's a lot easier than following his inconveniently woke teachings.
What you talk about this alpha bro movement that's happening in the Christ world.
I trace that straight from the Crusades up to Pete Hegseth's humiliating tattoo. The days of old.
Now you've gone too far. Now that is blasphemous right there.
You know what? Secretary of Jägermeister thinks it's all about the violence. God wills it. That's what they said when they were waging violence against Muslims and Jews in the Crusades. The opposite of glamorous, unsexy Jesus who commands us to love our enemies, turn the other cheek. He also gets around to opposing the death penalty. He tells you don't trust people who pray in public to be seen. He tells you to pay your damn taxes. I mean, this guy could not run for office in the state of Louisiana. But he's every bit, whether he's real or not. I'm atheist, this book's for you too. Whether he's a real guy or the original hippie or the original innocent brown-skinned man executed by the state, the actual teachings of the guy are as threatening to authoritarian power now as they were 2,000 years ago. And I keep waiting for the Democratic Party. I mean, Buttigieg does it. James Tallarico in Texas is doing some great stuff. I want to see more because I'm sick and tired of seeing my parents' faith used as a cloaking device for meanness.
Now, what do you say to the atheist or the agnostic? I'm somebody who doesn't believe those stories.
And I believe in atheists.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Some of the best Christians I know are non-believers.
Well, there you are. Well, the people who are sickened by this conversation dominating the larger conversation, they see what's happening on the right and how it's being utilized, how it is being weaponized in these ways. It feels like it takes up so much space in the political conversation, or can. Like, how do you balance that for a progressive movement that both needs to engage with people who believe in Christianity and believe in faith and see how important that is, but also who are frustrated by the ways in which it's welled and believe that this book is a work of fiction that should be on the shelf along with the Lord of the Rings?
And it doesn't matter if it is a work of fiction. It doesn't matter. I mean, this is the book we've all agreed on. This is the book they're using. This is the book they are using to force a very narrow, Jesus-free version of Christianity into our lives, our public schools, our government. That's the Seven Mountain Mandate. And they're not fighting for anything Jesus actually talked about. Like, if I'm in a band and I call myself a Rolling Stones cover band, and I advertise that I'm a Rolling Stones cover band, but I only know songs by Nickelback and Vanilla Ice, I need to find a new name for my group. And so I got, again, like, it's up to all of us, you know? Make them argue with the Bible. I have this happen all the time on SiriusXM. Take immigration. Like, you don't have to fight about this. God commands us to welcome the stranger all throughout the Hebrew scriptures. God says we have to treat the alien as one of our own. His son Jesus shows up, whether it's real or not, and commands us, individuals and nations, to welcome the stranger. So my question to Uncle Racist is, why should I listen to you and Donald Trump and ignore God and Jesus? You don't need to fight these people. They can fight Jesus and God, and this book, hopefully, will set you up to do it.
Now, I hate to point it out.
Yes.
But today's Rapture Day.
Oh, I know. By the way, is Costa all right? Because that actually is the side effect of Ozempic.
Is that what's happening right there?
Yeah.
Easy. He doesn't like to talk about that.
They love the Rapture, Jordan.
Do you feel left out? Shouldn't you be up there drinking Mai Tais right now?
I know a lot of apocalyptics out there, and they're really addicted to the end times because Jesus' inconvenient teachings and commandments on how we're supposed to treat each other are a little too much work, and they'd rather be behind God's velvet rope. They're so sure that they go there for the party, but they're going to find out that the rapture doesn't even appear in the Bible. Jesus says you shall not know the hour nor the day when it'll happen. So I'm sorry, end-timers, it's not the end of the world.
Oh. Well, you're not watching the same news I am, apparently. I will say something I do believe in, and I know you do as well, is music. Yeah. And you wore this shirt. Tell me about what is special about this shirt.
Oh, man, this is a special... Okay, so this shirt is for George Harrison's record label. He started in the 70s, Dark Horse Records. And my first job as a young comedian in broadcasting was being a VJ for VH1. They hired me to be the funny guy, but I wound up being the classic rock nerd. And one day I got to sit with George Harrison and Ravi Shankar. He came in to promote an album he had produced, and I was the biggest George Harrison fiend. I was raised Catholic, and I so admired how he went deeper into his spirituality. And so I got to interview him, and he was going to stay for 10 minutes. I was such a geek. I was making terrible Rick Astley jokes. He stayed for 4 hours. We gave him a guitar. He played 4 songs. It wound up being the last public performance he ever did on camera. He was diagnosed with cancer 2 months later. And I don't know if y'all know this, but that final performance by George Harrison happened in this very studio, in this room. George Harrison gave his last televised performance right here. And so coming back, every time I'm back in this building, I always want to say thank you to him because he gave me so much to learn about spirituality.
I love it. That is wonderful. Well, the book, it is a great read, and if you want to fight with or converse with your more conservative folks,
you don't have to call them an immigrant-hating homophobe. Show them Jesus wasn't an immigrant-hating homophobe.
Use Jesus to win your argument.
Can I give the full title?
Give me the full title.
It's Separation of Church and Hate: A Sane Person's Guide to Taking Back the Bible from Fundamentalists, Fascists, and Flock-Fleecing Frauds.
Oh, look at that. Look at that alliteration. It's available now. John Fugelsang.